Welcome to the first edition of Housing Development for the year 2023. Predictions are beginning to pour in for the real estate sector in 2023. What is in stock for Nigerian real estate sector? Why no one can predict exactly what will happen. However, stakeholders see both a positive and a negative light in the sector in 2023. Looking back, the housing market has done well despite the many problems and challenges faced in 2022. Before we begin, as usual, let's have a look at the news that made hit over the last couple of days in the housing sector. I'm Flora Ani, your housing diva.
Thank you for joining me here on Housing Development News. I'm Agumofwegbe. The Real Estate Development Association of Nigeria, REDAN, has said the government's involvement in the housing sector will not provide a lasting solution to the challenges facing it. This is as the association canvassed for a business-enabling environment to assist private investors to access funds with low interest rates and make shelter available and affordable for the masses. While making the assertion, President and Chairman of the Council of REDAN, Aliyu Wamako, said the association believes the government has no business with building houses because if the government is doing so, the country would have succeeded in creating a socialist republic. In a different development, the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has advocated for the establishment of a safety commission. This, the agency said, would mitigate loss of lives and property to incessant fire outbreaks and explosions from gas and fuel outlets in Abuja. Director General of FEMA, Alhaji Abbas Idris, said the proposed commission will take charge of the responsibility of issuing operating licenses and effectively curbing the proliferation of liquid gas and petrol outlets in the FCT. Idris, however, warned that if such a commission was not established, FCT is going to have fires and explosions that are going to cause much havoc. The FEMA boss said in 2022, the agency intervened in post-fire disasters in various parts of the FCT, as well as responded to 10 fire incidents, including 3 filling station fires where 16 lives were saved. And finally, beyond our shores, the Canadian government has restrained Nigerians, Americans, and other non-Canadians living in Canada from purchasing residential properties in the country. It is reported that the ban on foreigners' purchase of private houses in Canada took effect from January 1, 2023. A new Canadian law, Prohibition on the Purchase of Residential Property by Non-Canadians Act, prohibits foreigners from buying residential properties for the next 2 years. The law, however, exempts immigrants and permanent residents as they are allowed to own housing properties. According to a piece on the website of the Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party, the law was made to reduce prices of residential properties across Canada. The rising cost of houses was linked to foreigners' purchase of the homes as investments, leaving indigents with no choice but to buy from them at high prices. And that's all on the news segment. On the program, I am Agumofwegbe. Thank you for watching.
To read the full details of the news and other housing report, visit www.africanhousingnews.com. Moving on, what are Nigerians saying about the challenges experienced in the sector in 2022 and what improvement would they want to see in the year 2023? Let's find out on Voices on the Street.
As of last year, houses was very expensive in last year. So if they can do this year, that this 2023 should be a better year for us, so that Nigerians will enjoy everything that we have. Nigeria, we have everything in this country, but houses, especially shops, very expensive. If they can reduce the prices.
We have actually noticed and observed that these lands in FCT are not given to the developers properly. Most of the times you buy land from third party or from second party. Maybe the minister have allocated or the government have allocated this land to somebody who is not even in the housing sector. So you now start buying. You can't imagine when you are talking about maybe about 50 hectares of land. They're calling billions of nairas, a land that is not a free gift from nature, and you pay such huge amount of money to acquire it. Then at the end of the day, if the developer buys the land and builds on it with the high cost of the building materials, and you can see that even the normal civil servant cannot be able to acquire or afford these properties.
As you can see now, because of the economic situation in Nigeria, many people they have devised to use inferior material to build house. When you use inferior material, you build house, some of them will even build 3 building story, which the foundation is not up to that. The foundation might be just 1 story, but along the line, because of the demand, they will increase it to 3 building. It will lead to collapse. That is the challenge we are facing in Nigeria. So the way out of this problem, or the first thing is government. If we can fix the right person that will listen to our complaint, all this challenge will overcome it in this year.
70%, you understand, are unable to get a better house for them to stay. You understand, due to what, should I say, the increase in everything, you understand. I couldn't really, picture it, you understand, that very particular side where this increase is coming from. But I know that anything about house here in Abuja is very, very expensive, you understand.
A guy I know actually lost close to 4-point-something million naira. His shop got demolished, and trust me, he's trying to raise capital now. So it's really, really terrible. For last year, it was really terrible. Now for this year, like you rightly said, we're looking for better housing plan, because a lot of houses in this area, to be precise, most of, especially the rural areas, they are not well built.
In Abuja, to some of us, looking at what we have around, I think if government will intervene, people should not be having problem of accommodation. You see a lot of abandoned houses, some are completed, but people are not there. If I have the opportunity, I should ask, why will you, if it's your personal money you have invested in building structures that we see around Abuja and nobody is occupying, I think it will not be possible. Definitely the monies are acquired elsewhere and the poor masses are suffering. So if I may suggest anything, 2023, particularly Abuja, we should look into the houses that are littered around Abuja that are not occupied and people are suffering.
As you can see, this woman now, she have people working under her. She didn't go to school. She don't have any government office. But people like this are eating under her. Like this one, I wash plate here. I work for her. And now this place is normal. Where did the government want me to go and eat?
20th December that they came, unexpected, that announcement. When we saw them coming, they said batchers. Batchers, they said. But look at my shop, please. This is not a batcher. This is a full building. They said batchers. They said we should pack our things like that, breaking batchers. We packed our things inside our shop. When they came in, next thing, look at one of my neighbors. They broke her whole store with Ecolax. She didn't take even one single Ecolax. She didn't take out one. They broke everything down. I don't even know if it's the government, if it's personal individuals, but they showed that it was joint task force, the army, police, everything was here that day. You couldn't even do anything. If you say anything, they will beat you up. That you leave.
Voices on the street there. Some of the challenges experienced in 2022, the respondents mentioned are poor housing affordability, poor access to mortgage finance, unoccupied housing estate, while some are sleeping on the bridges, building collapse experience in some states. They all wish for houses that are affordable to low-income Nigerians. Let's go for a short break. I'll be back.
We don't have road, and you see at times if it is raining, you will see a lot of people will go by the roadside. They'll be thrown dirt on the main road. We also doesn't have toilet. You see a toilet, you will still up to 30 tenants. They are using one. You can't leave your door open, go and buy something. Before you will know, Babambola will enter. By the time you will take them to police station, 1 hour is too much. The police people will release them. In fact, we don't know what is happening.
This is the situation with many citizens in not just Nigeria. Are we ready for this conversation? What is the plight of an average Nigerian citizen in regards to housing? Housing is a fundamental human right, and these issues must be addressed.
It's the start of a new year. What will 2023 housing sector look like? I had a chat with Barrister Fesadeb, the convener of Africa International Housing Show and the founder of Housing Development Advocacy Network. Take a listen.
Real estate sector 2023. As you know, the sector in 2022 faced a lot of challenges, even though the report from MBS says the sector performed better in the first quarter and also improved in the second quarter and also in the last quarter of the year 2022. But the fact remains that the sector is faced with the challenges of inflation, hike in building materials, double-digit interest rates. These are issues that we are also going to battle with in 2023. We also have the challenge of insecurity. We also have the challenge of the exchange rate. These are big problems that we will need to surmount if we want a glorious, a better, if you want boom in the sector in 2023. I must say that there's no better time than now for the government to intervene in the sector. There must be a price cap on the cement. You know what we witnessed in 2022 is that majority, a good number of sites were closed down, all because of the hike in the prices of the building materials. If you go to some local governments, block factories are no more working. The youth who are supposed to be working have no job because of only one thing: the price of the building material. The government cannot just be looking. There's no better time for the government to intervene in the sector than now. In 2023, who is going to be responsible for the provision of affordable housing? Because as at the last quarter of 2022, majority of these developers who have been shouting, talking of providing affordable housing have left their sites because of the increase in the price of building materials. And that is why I said we need government intervention now. In fact, even the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, they're supposed to be providing houses for those who doesn't have. That is the low income earners. They came up with a 1-bedroom in the outskirts of a city for 7.2 million. So the question is, talking about what is going to happen in 2023 in the real estate sector. Affordable housing is likely to suffer unless there's intervention of the federal government. In 2023, the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing should concentrate more in creating enabling environment. They should be busy more with policies, coming out with ideas and interact with National Assembly on policies that can attract investor into the sector. That's what we need. There's no better time than now for the research centers, the NIBRI, the universities, research department to give us alternative to cement. We must begin to think of alternative building materials. We must be thinking of made in Nigeria houses. The kind of houses we have been avoiding that are still standing in our villages, which are houses of 25 years, 50 years, 70 years. They may be the houses that we have to consider some of the material that were used for us to deliver affordable housing. The interest rate is not helping. And that is why you see organizations, that has been the barrier. Interest rates have been the barrier for some of the housing agencies, the mortgage banks, the Nigerian Mortgage Finance. The way they will have been flying, they've not been able to do that because of the double digits interest rates. This goes to the challenge. Who is working on this? The central bank? Or who? Toward the end of 2022, we discovered that the federal government took 40% of the NHF deposits. Can you imagine that? You mean government taking from those they are supposed to be helping? Thank God, they promised us that the money will be returned. I want to believe it has been returned, because if it is not returned, we are ready to go to court. Again, the federal government of Nigeria, the Secretary General of the Federation, the Minister of Finance, by second week of January. They can't steal from the poor to finance the rich. So, I can tell you that in 2023, a good number of this mortgage bank will change to commercial bank so as to have access to mobilization of fund and more opportunity in their business. The federal mortgage bank should be giving the necessary support. The idea of deducting 40% of NHF cannot stand and should be discontinued. Effort should be made to review the idea of stopping some mortgage bank from accessing National Housing Fund. There must be a clear-cut reasons for that from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And by the way, the government must have a political will to grow our mortgage system.
On how the elections will impact the performance of the housing sector, he has this to say.
Another determinant for the sector in 2023 is the election. Who wins the presidential election? And that is why we keep saying, we keep advocating that people should have those who are calling for their votes to ask them what they are going to do for housing. Whoever wins the election is going to be a major determinant of how the sector will perform in 2023. I've seen some of those presidential aspirants coming up with one paragraph agenda written for them by someone. Some came with 2 paragraphs. So, but we must know that whoever wins the presidential election in February will have a lot of effect on the sector. If the presidential aspirant is housing friendly, we should be expecting a very friendly environment in the sector. And if the presidential aspirant is not affordable housing friendly, then we are going to maintain the status quo. But we need intervention in the area of providing for those people who cannot afford this problem, this housing. Because in the last 1 year, what we have been seeing this challenge of affordability. So I can authoritatively inform you that is going to continue until we have a new government who is housing friendly. So that you cannot rule out that the good aspect of the sector, that the sector is a job creator massively, both for skill and both for unskilled labor.
For years, Nigerian authorities have been pledging to address the issue of providing affordable local houses, but without much result. How can more low-income earners become homeowners? What strategy should the government put in place to provide decent and affordable housing for low-income earners for the year 2023?
Government can help by providing service land for low-income housing. Service land. Here where we are here, we came in from the road. We did the road ourselves. We brought electricity here. We did all the internal road, the drainages and everything. When you add that to the cost of the building, it becomes a problem. So one thing is that government can provide service land designated for social housing. Say this land, let them put water, put road, put electricity there. It will reduce the cost dramatically. And then people can be able to go in and build. Another thing they can do is to make loans available for the unbankables. The unbankable, there are some unbankables. The poor, the middle poor, the upper poor, the lower middle, the middle. Some of them are bankable, some of them are unbankables. And so you make loan available that they can pay in their lifetime that will not impact on their living. They do it in other countries. They give you loan for 35 years. So whatever is the amount of the money you are paying, you are able to spread it. And then you can go to the market, not the bourgeois market, the market for the social housing. You go there and be able to get something. You come to people like us, where we can sell to you a 2-bedroom for 6 million, 7 million, 8 million, depending on what other things we are adding. And then giving you a loan of 8 million, 10 million, you can be able to spread it for 35 years, and then you are able to make that.
Well, we do hope that this year the government and even real estate stakeholders will make conscious effort to build more local houses to increase the housing stock and make more Nigerians homeowners. I'll be back shortly. The rental rate in Nigeria is on a steady rise, which stands to promote the fact that many Nigerians can only afford to rent properties than buying out properties. This is a reflection of the supply-demand gap of affordable housing, and this trend will keep growing into 2023. More Nigerians need to be homeowners this year rather than being renters. On that note, I wrap up today's episode of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. Do well to follow Housing Development on all social media platforms. I remain your housing diva, Flora Annie. Happy New Year and do stay safe.